One, two, three, four, five.
Clause 5.35 of Council's Code of Meeting Practice, I inform the persons attending this meeting that A, the meeting is being recorded, live streamed, and made publicly available on the Council's website, and B, persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. In relation to Clause 4.1a, where a public forum is held as part of a council meeting, it must be conducted in accordance with the other requirements of this code relating to the conduct of council, which means that the public forum will be broadcast via live stream on council's webpage and included in the subsequent audio-visual recording of the meeting. I also would like to inform all those here that in compliance with Clause 3.2 of the Code of Meeting Practice, this extraordinary meeting obviously is being held today in the council chambers. This meeting was called on the 13th day after the receipt of the request and does not provide the full minimum 3 days notice. The delay in issuing this notice has been resulted solely from the time required for me to obtain the legal advice on whether I'm obliged to still call an extraordinary meeting if it is based on an unlawful motion. I received this advice yesterday and therefore called the meeting immediately after at earliest practicable opportunity. Clause 3.9 allows me to call an extraordinary meeting on less than 3 days notice in an emergency. Based on my receipt of the advice yesterday and required 14-day period, the meeting needed to be called within the 4-day period in an emergency basis to comply with Clause 3.2. As all councils have received advice that the proposed motion is unlawful, I officially declare it unlawful. There is no lawful motion or business before council for consideration at this meeting unless a motion is considered pursuant to Clause 3.29. However, pursuant to Clause 10.7, I will allow the movers of the motion an opportunity to clarify or amend the motion, even though I have already provided them with an opportunity by email to do so. I know I have had no response to date. So I now would like to invite Ms. Justine Young, the Acting Manager of Civic and Executive Services, to offer the prayer of council and the acknowledgement and affirmation, followed by the national anthem. Could I ask everyone to please stand?
Before we begin proceedings, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land which we meet and their ancestors past, present, and the Cabrogal clan of Durrick Nation. I also acknowledge that this land was assessed by people of the Dharawal and Durrick Nations. Affirmation of Council. We affirm our hope and dedication to the good governance of our city and the well-being of all Liverpool's residents, no matter their race or creed. Tonight we affirm our hope for sound decision-making in council, which will improve the quality of life in our city. We express our expectations and best wishes for Australia, our nation's future, the Mayor, councillors and staff of council, and all those associated with good governance in Liverpool. Thank you.
Motion is we end up having strangers in this room. The one basic thing we all need is connection.
We connect people with people across Sydney, across Australia.
And when we do it, none of us are alone.
Seven News, connecting you.
For some, it's a humble sandwich. Yeah.
The wash and lotion are clinically proven to provide instant and 48-hour hydration. Dermaven is my go-to. Get real good with Dermaven.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Now that Councillor Ibrahim has joined us, there are no apologies. There's no confirmation of minutes. So, councillors, as I said before, the motion as proposed is unlawful. So there is no motion ahead of us. So when it gets to declaration of interest, I have nothing to declare an interest on. When there is an amended motion put forward, should there be an amended motion, that's when I'll make a decision if I need to declare an interest. And obviously, I'd give everyone the opportunity likewise to do the same. There's no public forum. There is no petitions. And now I will move to Conf 01. Councillor Monahan, do you have an amended motion that you'd like to put forward?
No, I'll be putting forward that motion.
All right, I rule the motion unlawful.
I move motion of dissent.
Motion of dissent.
And under the Code of Meeting Practice, I'd like to exercise my right to speak to the motion.
Let me just double check. What clause is that, councillor?
I can assist if you'd like.
Please, if you can.
Would you like some assistance?
I've got it on the clause 15.8.
15.10.
Yep, no worries. I'm just mindful that we are an open session, councillor, so if you do feel the need to go into closed session, please let me know.
No, I don't think there's a need for that. It'd be rather Kafkaesque to move into closed session on a matter that is one that is generally known to the public. It's been widely reported upon in the media, the Sydney Morning Herald. It's widely available on Facebook. There are other means of accessing public information in respect of the motion that I'm proposing that we deal with.
So yes, so your question about lawfulness, the motion of dissent.
In respect of lawfulness, Mr Mayor, we received legal advice dated the 2nd of October of this year, on the 3rd of October of this year. That legal advice raises a number of points with respect to a number of those points, and largely the points that it raises to say that this is unlawful is a red herring. The motion is clearly lawful. It seeks to exercise Clause 9.9 of the Standard Contract of Employment of General Managers of Local Councils. That clause is very specific, it's very clear. It reads, Council may grant special leave with
Sorry,
or without pay.
Councillor Monahan, just to talk that you're now moving into a matter that is a staffing matter and needs to be dealt with in confidential.
It doesn't need to be dealt with in confidential.
You're referring to specific clauses into that.
It doesn't.
So
need
I'm
to
happy
be
for you to do,
dealt
but
with.
I'm making a decision that if you're continuing on this path, mentioning specific contractual staffing.
We're still in the midst of the motion of dissent.
Yes,
I'm still exercising my right to speak.
That's right, and you're moving
that
into matters
motion.
that need to be dealt with in the confidential under the Code of Meeting Practice.
Then I won't continue on that path anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clear. Everyone's had the opportunity and the assistance of being provided with that advice. I'm sure that I can speak generally about it, and everyone will have a very clear idea of what I'm talking about, because I'm sure everyone's read it and understands it. The clause is very straightforward. It's very clear. There are a number of elements of it that are clearly complied with by the motion. The other advice that's provided in respect of exercising an implied right of suspension and the common law, the relevant common law principles that apply to that exercise of power are respectfully not engaged. They are not relevant. They do not need to be complied with. The clause that council is seeking, or that I am proposing that council seeks to exercise, is a lawful exercise of that contract. Despite any other advice to the contrary, it's in fact a clause of the contract that has been exercised by this council in the very recent past. It was exercised on the 24th of April of 2024 by mayoral minute. It was exercised without prior notice to councillors. It was exercised without being provided with legal advice. To say now that this is unlawful in light of the legal advice that we've been provided must be a clear concession that the actions that council took on the 24th of April of 2024, moved by way of mayoral minute by yourself, Mr. Mayor, was and is unlawful. And had legal advice been provided at the time, I'm sure you would have ruled that way, or you wouldn't have put the motion to council. In any event, it's a very clear.
Councillor Owen, your point of order. Yeah. Yeah, Councillor, yes, to Councillor Moon's point, if you can please keep it to this particular motion. If you're going to bring up other motions, that's an issue of debate. And I can tell you now one thing, that they are two different matters and the substance of the motion was significantly different. And if we're in closed session, I could provide further detail. So can I please ask, you've moved the motion of dissent. You're dissenting because you believe the motion is lawful?
Yes,
Is there
speaking to
anything-
that effect. It's a directly relevant contrast to be made.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yes, it is clearly lawful. Everyone's been provided with the advice. Council has taken this action in the past. It has to be a concession now, if it is unlawful, that it was unlawful then. There is no way outside of that simple, logical proposition.
Have you concluded, Councillor?
No. It is clear that the only aspects of the advice that we've been provided that is relevant to this item are only a small number of paragraphs. The rest of it does not refer to the power that is being proposed the council exercises. Had that implied right of suspension been sought to be exercised in the absence of compliance with those common law principles, then there is certainly an argument that it's unlawful. But that's not the case here. It's clearly not the case. We're talking about exercising a clause of a contract. I don't have anything further to say on it.
Thank you. I will put the motion of dissent.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to second the motion and I'd like to comment and exercise my right to speak.
There's no seconders on motions of dissent, from my understanding. It's moved by, they don't, and there is no further discussion about those matters, but I'll just err on the side of the caution and just double check. Where were we? It was 15.10. What was it? 15.10? Let me just double check. Yep, under section 15.10, only the mover of a motion dissent and the chairperson can speak to the motion before it is put. So that right has been exercised. I will now put the motion of dissent. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against? I declare the motion of dissent lost. So, Councillor...
Division.
Yep, division. All those in favour of the motion of dissent, please stand. Those against? Thank you.
In accordance with clause 3.29, I have an urgency motion that I'd like to move.
Councillor McNaught.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
If the mayor is saying that I don't have to change the microphones.
It's easier if you turn it off. There we go. Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor McNaught.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under section 3.29 of the Code of Meeting Practice, I have an urgency motion.
Yes, Councillor McNaught. What is your urgency motion?
Thank you. If I can ask for that to be brought up, please. I'm happy to read through it while we're waiting.
Just once again, being mindful that we are in
It's
open
fine.
session.
Yep, no problem. No problem. My motion is that Council 1 acknowledges the legal advice received from Lindsay Taylor Lawyers dated the 2nd of October 2025 and attached, confirming the motion proposed and the request.
So just before we go on, can we get it on the screen,
Yep.
please? And can we just make the writing a bit bigger? Thank you.
I'm happy to wait for people to read through if you'd rather.
You can feel free to read it out as long as it's there now. Let's go for it. I'm happy for you to read it out, Councillor.
Confirming that the motion proposed in the request for an extraordinary meeting of 30 September 2025 is unlawful. Number 2, affirms the importance of allowing the public inquiry into Liverpool City Council to take its natural course, ensuring procedural fairness for all witnesses, officers and stakeholders, and maintaining the integrity of the process in the public interest. Number 3, resolves that Council will await the findings and recommendations of the Commissioner arising from the public inquiry and the final determination by the Minister, and defer making any further consideration or action by Council on matters related to those before the inquiry should only occur after obtaining independent legal advice, confirming such action is 1, both lawful and appropriate, and 2, does not give rise to or contribute to any psychosocial hazard or risk under applicable work health and safety obligations.
Is there anything else?
No.
And why is your motion urgent,
Mr.
Councillor?
Mayor, the motion's urgent because it is very relevant that we reassure staff and the community of the fairness, natural justice and stability in the organisation. People's psychosocial wellbeing could be negatively affected by allowing this to linger, and I think that it is of the utmost urgency that we reaffirm these points today.
Thank you. On that basis, I declare the matter urgent. Now, I just need to put the motion that we actually have, firstly, to actually have this be dealt with on the floor. So not actually voting, we're not actually voting for the validity of the motion. We're just dealing with the, under 3.29, to actually have the business considered at the meeting, being an extraordinary meeting. So I'm happy to...
I move that we consider business.
Under 3.29A. All right, do you have a seconder for that? Second, Councillor Harrell. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against, I declare it carried. Councillor McNaught, you can...
I'd like a division call.
Division, yep. All those in favour, please rise. Those against? Okay. So Councillor McNaught?
I'd like to move the motion as read out by myself before.
Yep. Do you have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Now you're actually seconding, the first part was to actually deal with the business, now actually the actual motion, seconded Councillor Hart. No discussion? Any
No,
s-
Mr Mayor, it's very self-explanatory.
Any speakers against?
You go.
Yes, council still has an obligation to conduct the ordinary business and functions of council. We've been provided with advice to that effect. It states relevantly that there are some particular aspects of the Act that we still need to comply with. Section 8 capital AA, Section 8 capital AH, Section 8A capital AE. I won't go into those in any detail. I'm sure my learned friends here have been provided with that advice and we can talk intelligently about it. The Commissioner has his own separate obligations to conduct the inquiry. The Commissioner is conducting the inquiry and that will run its own course. Council still has functions and obligations to continue to exercise its functions and duties in accordance with the Act. And we should all be conscious, and I'm sure everyone is conscious, that it's possible that any action that any of us perform or purportedly perform in the discharge of our duties may be the subject of examination at the inquiry. There were previous declarations of interest that were made, and people left the chamber in respect of other items that may have been subject or were subject to questioning at the public inquiry. That's not something that was consistently or appropriately applied across the business items of that meeting, and certainly hasn't been done tonight, given that this directly relates to
Point of order.
the public inquiry.
Yes, Councillor Amun, what's your point of order?
Councillors determine that on their own. They don't need someone to tell them where they need to do it or don't need to do it.
Yes.
We've read through the business today. There was no issues for me personally. I don't know about the others,
Yep.
but this generalisation is not fair.
Yeah, I agree. The point of order is upheld, Councillor Monahan. It's up to each individual councillor, and any comment that councillors have not declared it appropriately is an accusation against councillors. So can you please refrain from doing that, please?
It certainly wasn't applied consistently. That motion, particularly NOM 02 at the last ordinary meeting, made reference to the public inquiry. This motion similarly makes reference to the public inquiry.
Councillor Monahan, can I ask you where you're speaking against the motion? Can you please outline, can you stick to the actual motion itself rather than go on a expanding, please?
No, it's directly relevant. Those similar declarations haven't been made in respect of this item. Once NOM 02 of the last meeting was
Councillor
dealt
Monahan,
with,
declarations do not have anything to do with regards to the actual substance of the motion. If you're speaking against the motion, speak against the motion itself.
it's relevant.
I know, it's actually...
I'm coming to that. It is directly relevant.
Yeah, you're making...
I'm
no,
speaking against the motion,
you're...
given that it makes references to the
it's-
public inquiry that were problematic for councillors. at the
So your
last
question,
council
so your issue isn't the actual
No, it is with the actual
motion. It's
motion.
actually
That's
what
part of
councillors
it.
are doing regarding the
That's,
motion.
that's part of the problem with the motion.
So it's not about. So it's actually not about the
if
motion.
you'd allow either make a ruling or allow me to continue to speak,
Happy for you to speak about the motion.
yes, and I am. It's relevant. Thank you. In respect of the public inquiry and council continuing to conduct its obligations and functions, the two run simultaneously. We simply cannot be in a position where we put items of business to the side simply because it's referred to at the public inquiry.
Point of order, Mr Mayor.
Yes, Councillor McNaught, what is your point
There
of
is
order?
nothing in the motion before us that suggests we will put things to the side Nothing at all.
Yep. Once again, it's upheld, Councillor Monahan. Can I ask you please to actually maybe familiarise yourself with the actual wording of the motion as put in
I'd ask
points
the mover to do
one.
that. Resolves that council will await the findings and recommendations of the Commissioner arising from the public inquiry and the final determination by the Minister, and defer making any further consideration or action by council on matters related to those before the inquiry. It's clearly there in black and white. We're proposing that we defer making any further consideration or action by council on matters related to those before the inquiry. The key
However,
issues list...
through the chair, it's not council business. It's to those that are involved in the inquiry. So it's outlined there, as Mr. Moningham said, that it is outlined that the people that are referred to in the inquiry. It's not general business of council.
All right. Thank you. Can we just let Councillor Monahan finish it? Thank you, councillors. Can I ask that you get to your point, councillor, and you're speaking against the motion?
The point's being made consistently and relevantly, unless there's a ruling from the chair to the contrary that it's not relevant, and it is relevant. The words of the motion are clear. Defer making any further consideration or action by council on matters related to those before the inquiry should only occur after obtaining independent legal advice confirming that such action is both lawful and appropriate and does not give rise or contribute to any psychosocial hazard or risk under applicable work health and safety obligations. The key issues outlined by council assisting extends to acquisition and sale of property. It includes long-term financial management. It includes Carnes Hill Pool. If we're taking the wording of this motion as it's being put, all of those things would have to be subject to independent legal advice that confirms that it's lawful and appropriate and doesn't give rise to contribute to any psychosocial hazard or risk. Those are matters that are related, they're related to those before the inquiry. That's the wording of the motion. It was put to me earlier that I should familiarise myself with, well, respectfully, the mover and the seconder ought to familiarise themselves with the wording and the consequences of the wording of the motion. It's clear. We're deferring taking action on any business until we obtain independent legal advice. If we take that to its logical conclusion, any reports in respect of long-term financial management have to be accompanied by independent legal advice that confirms 3A and B hasn't been breached. Any matters relating to Carnes Hill Pool, similarly, we have to obtain independent legal advice confirming that it's lawful, appropriate, and doesn't give rise to any psychosocial hazards or risks. Simply put, it's unworkable for a number of reasons. One that I've already outlined, that we still have obligations and functions to carry out under the Act simultaneously with the Commission. The Commissioner will undertake his work and will make relevant findings when the hearings are completed. We still have a function, an obligation to continue to function, given the fact that we're still here and we weren't, and the council wasn't suspended pending a public inquiry. And it's unworkable on the fact that a large portion of the business that is put to council at every meeting would fall within the remit of 3 in this motion. It simply would. It can't be any other way that council on matters related to those before the public inquiry. It's quite simple, it's quite straightforward. I don't see how this could possibly be workable from a number of perspectives. And if...
Councillor McNaught.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The interpretation that I have brought with this motion is not the same interpretation that has just been relayed to us, and that's fine. We've all had legal advice that's also been interpreted differently by different people. I'm happy if the seconder is happy to insert the words where it says they're related to those before the inquiry, that we add related to witnesses before the inquiry.
Is the seconder happy with that? Okay.
So-
So on that, Councillor Monahan, does that...
No, it doesn't. It's in respect of witnesses before the inquiry. I mean, does that mean now that everything a witness says at the inquiry, or could possibly say at the inquiry, and then is put to counsel, should only occur after obtaining independent legal advice in respect of 3A and B? It's even less workable in this form. We're now talking about whether or not things that people have given as evidence or things that people may give as evidence, given that that's been a problem, or that's been a consideration rather, I withdraw problem, but it's a consideration that counsel has had in the past that they are yet to give evidence as a witness. Would that fall within the remit of this? Clearly, on my reading, it would, related to witnesses before the inquiry. There'd be a number of witnesses, including yourself, Mr Mayor, that I imagine have been summoned, and I have, and I will be giving evidence. Does that mean that I need to obtain independent legal advice confirming that any action I take is lawful, appropriate in respect of matters that are put to counsel that could relate to the inquiry? It's simply not workable. It's even less workable in its current form. It still doesn't address the fact that we're operating simultaneously. The Commission will continue to do its work, we'll continue to do our work, and matters that are considered at the inquiry will necessarily overlap with counsel, with the ordinary business of counsel. It's simply not something that can be logically implemented. For that reason, it shouldn't be supported.
Thank you. Councillor Carney, you're speaking for or against the motion?
Speaking against, I'd like to start off by reading the first paragraph of the motion put forward by Councillor McNaught. And when I speak against the motion, I know, Mr Mayor, you categorised the commencement of today's proceedings that there was 13 days before the calling of this meeting, having it fall within the 14-day period. But this motion by Councillor McNaught identifies that the motion, extraordinary meeting request by Councillor Monahan and myself, was made on the 30th of September. By any count, would put today as the 15th day. And I'm concerned that there is a motion before this council that's been put forward as urgent. It needs to be considered because in and of itself is Councillor McNaught asserting that you've breached the code by calling the meeting 15 days after, today being the 14th of October. Because
there's a point of order, Councillor McNaught, your point of order?
Order. You can't accuse me of making an accusation of breaching the code of conduct.
Yeah, that's correct, Councillor. That's correct. So, Councillor Carney, if you can refrain from doing that about a councillor. And just on that note, today is day 14 from my count.
can I ask how you calculated that, Mr Mayor?
That the first day is the 1st of October.
But this motion accepts that it was received on the 30th.
Yeah, so day one is...
No, day one would be the date of receipt.
All right, well, we can get to administrative law. That's how I interpreted it.
It's not administrative. It's specific in its terms, and it's specific in terms of 14 days. But even on that count, then the view has changed, and your view is now that it's 14 days, not 13 days. I want to be specific in this regard because you've commenced this meeting by starting off that it was called on the 13th day. My proposition to you, Mr Mayor, is that it's clearly not. Anybody can count the 30th to today. Today's the 15th day. And that's a problem on many fronts. But I just want to confirm, before this motion, and I'm only addressing, when I speak against this, point one for the time being, it's a concession that it was received on the 30th of September. When you interpret the legislation and it says within 14 days of receipt, that day is the day. Today is the 15th day because it's the 14th of October. Before I proceed, I just want confirmation from you in terms of your interpretation of point one, because it's a motion that you ruled as urgent, and you asked Councillor Monahan to read it in its fullness, and I'm still coming to grips with it because I'm reading it comprehensively as I'm sitting here, but I've identified that there's a discrepancy between the calculations of Councillor McNaught and your introduction to this meeting that it was 13 days.
So it was received on the email was received by Councillor Monahan on the 30th, right? Day 13 was yesterday. Today is day 14.
How is So if it's received on the 30th, how's today day 14?
Because day one was the first, being the next day after the 30th.
No, but day one would be the date of receipt. It could never occur futuristically, as in, I received something today, therefore I receive it tomorrow.
You know, that's my interpretation of how the count works. And now I'm sure there's a lot of law about this. And if I'm mistaken, I'm happy to be shown some advice otherwise. But by my understanding, that's what day one started on the 1st.
So it's now not the 13th, it's 14 days.
And then what do we start? Pardon?
So you said initially at the commencement of the meeting, Mr Mayor, that it was 13 days. Is it now your position that it's 14 days?
Today is the 14th day. Notice was given on the 13th day.
But in correspondence to councillors and at the commencement of the meeting, you made a confirmation that it was the 13th day, being today would be the 13th day. That you'd have to concede that. That's in writing and you've commenced the meeting with it and it's recorded. We can, but I because the interpretation of it's very specific.
All right, so Councillor Carney,
Yes.
you can speak against the motion. I've expressed to you my point of view of it. You can continue.
I'll continue with 2, 3,
About
but 2
the
and
motion.
3. But before I continue to 2 and 3, this is an important part of a motion that I suspect, Mr Mayor, of course, all councillors, including yourself as the Mayor, want this motion to be legal. That is an aspect of it, in my view, that makes it illegal because it's propositioning a scenario where we're ruling on it today being the 14th of October. If it's passed, the minutes will reflect same. And what that will do is that on anyone counting back will confirm on a reading of the calendar that today is the 15th day. I'm concerned that council then concedes, well, if I continue speaking, it's the 15th day. Now, I urge you, Mr Mayor, and I'm going to be making some further commentary as to why, but this motion, in terms of it being put to council, has significant flaws legally. And I say legally because you commenced this meeting by suggesting that the motion and the request for an extra... Yes.
Can I just clarify, Councillor?
Yes.
Are you providing legal advice to
No,
councillors?
not providing legal advice. I'm commenting on the unlawfulness proposed
so-
in this motion. If I
Yep.
could just finish, you'll get
Yeah,
the
no,
fullness
hold on a
of
second.
yes.
So just with regards to lawfulness, as the chair, it's my duty to rule on lawfulness
Of course.
during the council meeting, all right? If you're saying it's unlawful,
Okay.
that's a different story. I know you're a lawyer. In your capacity, if you want to provide legal advice, that's up to you.
I wouldn't
However-
provide you legal advice, Mr Mayor. That's not
then thank
that's
you.
not the
Then
point of me speaking
at this
against
point
motion.
in time.
Yes.
Just to clarify, this motion is lawful.
Okay.
So
Is
if
it
we can-
lawful that this motion does not have a funding source, Mr Mayor? On numerous occasions, you have highlighted to members of this floor that there needs to be a funding source. When you're referring that legal advice be obtained by certain councillors, there is no funding source. I urge you, Mr Mayor, that before a motion like this is put to council that has significant ramifications
There
on
is
many
no
on many
expenditure.
funds. Well, how's there no expenditure when legal advice, independent legal advice needs to be obtained? Who's going to foot the bill? Individual councillors? Or is it excess that we need to pay and pass that on to the ratepayer? How does that work? Can
You'd
I
have
ask
to
you,
agree
Mr Mayor?
that you'd have to pay for legal advice, wouldn't you?
I suspect we've
in
paid
respect
Lindsay
of-
Taylor for the advice.
Yeah, in respect of any advice that council obtains, and particularly if we're going to be obtaining advice in respect of pretty much anything that council
Sorry,
does, we'd have to be paying
Councillor
for
Monahan,
it,
Councillor
wouldn't we?
Carney, you don't have the call. Councillor Carney has the call. And my apologies for interrupting you earlier, so please continue. I won't interject.
You've been given a
Sorry, Councillor once.
Look, it's
Go for it, Councillor Carney.
in terms of point 3, specifically the latter parts just preceding A and B, Mr Mayor, is your view that when you rule this motion lawful, because you made the determination, that there doesn't need to be a funding source attributed to this?
I believe the motion is lawful and I've ruled on that.
Does there need to be a funding source?
I'll say this one last time. The motion before us is lawful.
I'm just asking
If you
Mr.
have a-
Mayor. Is there do you think, no, you've projected to
Sorry,
councillors on
Councillor
this
Carney.
floor that there needs to be a funding source when motions are put to council where expenditure is going to arise out of it. How can you say that there's not going to be any expenditure arising out of this motion? A funding source must be attributed. Through the chair, I'd ask you to refer this question to the director as to whether or not 3 triggers expenditure of legal advice.
What is your specific question?
My specific question is that the motion that's before the council that states that resolves that council will await the findings and recommendations of the commissioner arising from the public inquiry and the final determination by the minister, and defer making any further consideration or action by council on matters related to witnesses before the inquiry should only occur after obtaining independent legal advice confirming that such action, either A or B, without rehashing them. Obtaining that independent legal advice, will that come at a cost to council?
Okay, I'll refer that to the CEO. And whilst he's thinking about it, with regards to the legal budget, we have now had 3 pieces of independent legal advice with regards to the notices of motion and calling for extraordinary meetings. Both of those are, I'm assuming, dealt with by our existing legal budget. So in matters such as that. So basically, once again, the CEO does have a budget. Now, if you want to, if it's going to mean we all get home earlier to our families, that if you want to have some general funds put there, I would really like to make this matter conclude. I'm happy to recommend to the mover and seconder to add that, but that does not move away from my previous motion.
While the CEO's thinking, can I reply? The issue with on the ad hoc and on the fly, having that any funds come from the general funds, I know that council has received some correspondence in respect of a governance meeting that projects that there is a proposed deficit to the tune of approximately 14.2 million. And I'm concerned that just remitting something to the general fund, without having proper consideration as to the cost
Thank
of
you.
it.
There's a point of order called. Councilman, what's your point of order? Microphone, please.
Are we discussing deficits and all that sort of stuff at the meeting?
Councillor Carney, can I say the point of order is upheld. If you're now implying that council doesn't get legal advice anymore on any matters, I think that is just being pretty. How can
Who said that? Who said
your implication with regards to bringing up budget issues? So you're saying we can't afford legal advice. Now, once again. You've had your opportunity to speak against the motion.
That I said we shouldn't get legal advice. That wasn't my commentary. So I'd ask you to make sure that when you speak to me as a councillor in this place, Mr. Mayor, that you don't misinterpret or misquote my comments.
All right, Councillor Carney, you've now been speaking 10 minutes against the motion, right? Councillor McNaught, would you like to add a plot in there for the sake of expediency? I'm sorry, I'm asking Councillor McNaught a point here because people want to conclude the business today.
Why are we in such a hurry? This is an important
Councillor
issue that refers to
because
funds.
if you want to get technical, you're only entitled to 5 minutes to speak. You've been speaking for 10 minutes.
But you allow every councillor in this place. If you're going to just halt me on speaking when it's convenient to you because you...
Sorry. Councillor McNaught, would you like to add that point for legal fees from general funds? Yes? Councillor...
From general.
Councillor Harrell, are you happy with that?
Yes, I am, but I don't think that's really necessary to add all of this.
I agree with that, but just for the sake of expediency.
We've had legal advice for this matter several times. We didn't ask for a specific funding source for that.
I agree.
I think this is ridiculous.
So if we can please... Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now issues of funding has been sourced. What is your next issue, Councillor Carney?
My next issue is I'm going to address point 3, but just to go full circle on this issue, because I think it's appropriate rather than us rush through things when it pertains to funds, particularly when we always say we need to be prudent. How can we consider rather than this motion being put to council on an ad hoc basis to determine its urgency and pass it through at an extraordinary meeting rather than put it in the business papers for the next meeting. But anyway, how can we determine we always ask for reports as to how much this would cost. How can you currently equate to have this drawn from general funds when it's the resolution of 3 is so broad brush that resolves that council will await the findings and recommendations of the commissioner arising from the public inquiry and the final determination made by the minister and defer making any further consideration or action by council on matters related to witnesses before the inquiry should only occur after independent legal advice confirming that such action is both lawful and appropriate, does not give rise to or contribute to any psychosocial hazard, etc., etc. How can you bracket that into a quote and just pass it on into the bucket of general funds without getting an appropriate report on how much this would cost? Mr Mayor, you'd have to say that in the last 12 months I've been a councillor here, you've been a massive advocate for ensuring that reports come back to council, particularly when they're going to affect either the budget and or where money's coming from, particularly when it hasn't been bracketed into a quote. That's a significant issue with 4. Because it shouldn't come from the general funds. It should be budgeted into the legal fund and there should be a costing attributed to it in circumstances where we currently don't know how much it will cost. That's the commentary that I say in respect to 4. The other aspect, Mr Mayor, and this is, I think, the most paramount aspect of my comments to this council and fellow councillors in this space today, and you, Mr Mayor, that we affirm the importance of allowing the public inquiry into Liverpool Council to take its natural course, ensuring procedural fairness for all witnesses, officers and stakeholders and maintaining the integrity of the process in the public interest, but resolves that this council would await the findings and recommendations of the Commissioner arising from the public inquiry and that final determination by Minister and defer making any further consideration or action by council on matters related to witnesses before the inquiry should only occur after obtaining legal advice confirming that such action A or B. There is no exception to this motion, particularly 3, that everything a councillor votes on who is a witness does not give rise to consideration of legal advice in circumstances whereby they are witnesses in an inquiry. It was only less than a month ago that several councillors in this space declared interests because a NOM simply had the words public inquiry. It's riddled through this urgency motion. It's riddled through this urgency motion, Mr Mayor, and no one...
Councillor Hart, what's your point of order?
We've gone through this with Councillor Monaghan. I don't know how the motion that's before us has anything to do with conflicts of interest, and once again, the declaration of interest is up to the individual councillor.
Councillor Carney, can I once again refer you to 10.23 of the Code of Meeting Practice? You've now been speaking for 15 minutes, and to Councillor Hart's point, there's no point to go over a matter that we've already discussed. Being mindful that you're over your time, and even if I took interjections, it's over your time.
Mr Mayor, I'll finish soon.
But do you have a point of...
Well, just...
One second, there's another point of order.
I'll actually like to have the motion put because he's been talking for 15 minutes about the same thing that Councillor Monaghan put through.
I'll let
point of order.
I'll let him complete. I'll let him complete. Councillor Carney, can you please get to your point? Thank you.
I'll get to my point, but just before I get to my point, Mr Mayor, that's the second time you've reminded me of minutes. Are we going to start doing that to every councillor who speaks for 5 minutes, 10 minutes and 15 minutes? Is that an attempt to tell me to hurry up or stop speaking? Because I'm taking umbrage and offence to you raising that I'm speaking. It's like there's a clock on me. If there's a clock on me, exercise the clock. If you're going to allow free speech like you've indicated, for the last 12 months, it's a mockery to you. This motion's a mockery to you.
Councillor Carney,
if this is a mockery to you, and you feel the need to laugh,
Councillor Carney, point of order. You've made derogatory comments about me, and I asked you to withdraw those comments. I have not made derogatory comments. Councillor Carney, you have made derogatory comments on me. You're breaching... No problems. Okay, great. Councillor Carney, you exercised your under 10.2 to 10.23 of the code. You've had your time to
So
speak.
you won't let me finish,
There
just
has been-
despite you saying you would let me finish. You're not going to let me
No,
finish now.
Councillor, you're conducting yourself in a disorderly fashion. You have made derogatory comments about me in the chair.
So,
I'm
no, I
following the
haven't. I
code of
refute
meeting.
that and I deny that. I haven't made derogatory comments.
I'm following the code of meeting practice.
So
you're saying to
you're now backflipping on the fact that you're not going to let me speak, just
There
like you
has-
backflipped on the 13 days. That's in fact 15 days.
All right. So thank you. There's been a motion that the motion be put. I'm just going to get clarification from our acting or Deputy General Counsel with regards to the 14 days, just so we're clarified on that matter. So, CEO, can I refer to you, please?
Thank you. Through the Mayor, Acting General Counsel.
Thank you. Through the CEO. Just before I start, I did want to mention in relation to point 1 about the legal advice. I think that councillors should be on notice that if there is an intention to publish the legal advice dated the 2nd of October, that's likely to waive privilege over that advice and other advices, noting that it says attached to the motion. I just thought you should be aware that there are likely to be legal consequences attached to that motion.
So should we clarify under
Publication.
closed cover, after the words attached,
I guess
or just remove the word attached?
I think it would be preferable if the advice was not even referred to, because that in itself can waive legal professional privilege.
So where would be the right time? So we'd say just stop it after legal advice?
I guess what I'm saying is once you reveal that there's been legal advice on the motion, then effectively that could in itself waive privilege over that legal advice.
Let me just refer to the mover.
Just for clarification, in the preamble to the meeting, that it's been very clear, and councillors have spoken on the floor about receiving multiple sets of legal advice. So if we acknowledge the legal advice received, and I'm happy to take out the name of the company and the date and attached, if that would be more prudent, I'm happy to do that. But I think we've referred in open chamber many times to legal advice that we've received.
Can I refer just through you, CEO? So the question of that, because it's been referred to in the meeting, does it make a difference whether it's in writing or not in writing because it's been referred to so many times?
So through the CEO, obviously we'll be wanting to try and lodge sustain an argument that it hasn't been waived. So the less it's referred to, the better. And by publishing it, it would in the motion it would be published in the minutes if it was passed. So I think. I mean, there have been references to legal advice. I'm not sure whether that in itself would waive it, but I'm concerned that a published reference to it might.
So, Councillor McNaught, then if you were, once again, the motion is still lawful, it's just a matter of us waiving our privilege. So if you want to remove point 1, that will provide the greatest protection at this stage, is from what my understanding of that.
If the second is happy, I will remove point 1. It's been spoken about, but I'm happy to remove point 1.
Okay, so we're on that basis of legal privilege, we'll remove point 1. So, thank you.
Through the CEO, Mayor, you asked about the 14 days. In my view, the 14 days, it starts on the date that you received the request, which was the 30th of September. I understand that was about 9:45 p.m. And you count, my understanding would be you would count in 24-hour blocks from then on, which would mean that the 14 days would have expired today, 14th of October, at about 7:45.
Thank you. Okay, so Councillor McNaught, as the mover of the motion, would you like your right of reply?
Sorry, before the right of reply, I'm happy for the right of reply. I just have a couple of questions for...
The debate's closed at this point.
I've got questions in respect of the motion.
Yeah, but
I can't ask 2 questions about this motion. 2 questions.
It's
not
moving
even,
on.
it's not debate. You allow questions to be asked
but
all the time.
Yeah, but the point of a motion being put.
The motion has only had one speaker in favour of it. It
Yep.
can't be put. It's had two against, but it's only had one in favour. But it's not compliant with the code of meeting practice. I can call for a lot of things to occur, but if it's not in the code of meeting practice, it doesn't happen. We've only had one speaker in favour of the motion. We've had two against. We're one short.
No, that's
if we
fair.
wanted to move it, someone else
No.
probably should have spoken for it,
No,
or
that's-
spoken on anything,
No, I
quite
agree.
frankly.
I agree with Councillor Monaghan on that one. My
Thank
apologies.
you.
I thought there had been. So
Oh, no, he's just making silly
No, so
faces.
thank-
That's all right.
thank you. So Councillor Monaghan, I'll have to refer, sorry, unfortunately, Councillor Moon, there is no motion to be put. Your questions are?
Thank you. To the CEO, was any legal advice obtained in respect of this motion as to whether it is lawful and appropriate and does not give rise to or contribute to any psychosocial hazard or risk under applicable work health and safety obligations?
The motion as it is on the screen?
The motion as it is on the screen, the motion as it was when it was first put on the screen, the motion as it was
Yeah, no.
at any point this evening.
Did we seek any legal advice?
Was any legal advice obtained?
Everybody's been in the room. I mean, the legal advice, the old point one talked about legal advice in relation to a motion. Legal advice about this motion, you know, of course, is impossible because nobody's left the chambers.
So that's no.
No.
I've got one other question through the Mayor to Councillor McNaught. Did you obtain independent legal advice prior to drafting this motion?
Questions are, through the Mayor, I sent, I sent a version of this motion to the General Counsel and asked for an opinion on that.
Councillor Hart?
So independent advice wasn't obtained?
I'd like to
Don't know
speak
how
in...
much-
I'd like... So, yep, man.
Just,
Councillor
Mr.
Hart?
Mayor, I had my hand up before Councillor Hart. I just want to make
So-
sure that's on the record. I just got a question, but I had my hand up before him. I'm amused as to why you selected
Thank you.
he over me.
Councillor Hart?
I'd like to speak in favour of the motion. I thank the mover and seconder for putting this up. I think it's very important given the situation that we currently find ourselves in and given we've had two speakers for and two speakers against, I move that the motion be put.
Thank you. Councillor McNaught, would you like to have your right of reply?
I think there has been already too much said about this motion. It's quite simple. It's I'm reassured with the Deputy General Counsel's comments, and I'd like the motion put.
I've got a foreshadowed motion.
Yeah.
At any
Yeah.
stage, we're allowed to put a
Yeah,
foreshadowed
but
motion.
yes. So yeah, once we put the vote, you can put it forward. All right. I'll put the motion as.
No. If the Mayor could refer to the clauses of the Code of Meeting Practice.
Yeah, sorry, Councillor, you'd have to move an urgency motion because we're in the midst of an urgency motion. That's the first part of what you'd actually have to do, because then we would have to deal with the actual question of urgency. Because a foreshadowed motion, as you're aware, is a different motion versus an amendment to the motion. So
Yes, I'm aware of that. Could Mr. Mayor, you point to the specific clause in the Code of Meeting Practice that says that a foreshadowed motion cannot be moved in respect of an urgency
If you go
motion?
through the process that we just went through, a foreshadowed motion is a separate motion.
Is
it? Yes.
I accept that.
It's a separate motion.
You put that.
So under in an
you
ex-
move them as.
So in an extraordinary.
Is there a clause in the Code of Meeting Practice that says a foreshadowed motion cannot be put in the middle of an
Councillor
urgency
Monahan,
motion?
I'm happy for you to find it, but ultimately,
I've
in an
had to do that for you quite frequently.
Great. So in an extraordinary meeting, right?
I'm only asking for some assistance. I
Yeah,
provide
and I'm
that quite
referring to the
frequently.
and I'm referring to the part of an extraordinary meeting, which talks about that only motions that deal with that are given notice of can be dealt with, right? An urgency motion was then moved. I deemed it urgent. Council then voted on dealing with that stuff, that motion on the floor of council, right? Because that is the motion. So if you want to follow the similar process, follow the similar process. So I will now put the motion as...
Clause 10.17 is quite clear. A councillor may propose a foreshadowed motion in relation to the matter, the subject of the original motion before the council. It doesn't draw a distinction between an urgency motion.
Then I'll leave that to lawyers to fix those things up, as you've had numerous times to deal with that, but I'll refer back to that.
You're not allowing, just to be clear,
I am.
foreshadowed motion to be put.
If you deal with it in the right fashion, as an urgency motion.
A councillor may propose a foreshadowed motion in relation to the matter.
You can deal with it.
Is there another clause that I'm not aware of?
Yes, urgency motion. I just referred to that. We are in an extraordinary meeting.
A councillor may propose a foreshadowed motion in relation to the matter, the subject of the original motion before the council.
Yeah.
This is...
Yep. Thank you.
Can we get the legal counsel to give their opinion on this?
All right. We're now going to vote on this motion as put by Councillor McNaught and moved by Councillor Harrell. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hands. Against? I declare the motion carried.
Yeah,
Division, all those in favour?
Thank you.
Those against? So now, Councillor Monahan, that if you would like to move an urgency motion under section 3.28 and onwards, I'm more than happy to hear what your urgency motion is.
I will. And a point of order, I'd like Councillor McNaught to withdraw the "oh my God" under her breath that was muttered.
Sorry, I was actually reaching to God, to my God, for strength. And if you have a problem with me praying in the chamber...
Under your breath, immediately after I'd
absolutely
like to move an urgency motion.
And
yeah, and I find that that's offensive. It's directly as a result of me exercising my obligations.
Thank you. I'll make a ruling. The point of motion. The dissent motion is not dissent motion. Sorry, the point of order is not upheld. Councils are entitled to pray. So, Councillor Monahan, what is your urgency motion?
That council has no confidence in the mayor's ability to apply the code of meeting practice appropriately or impartially, noting particularly clause 10.17 of the code of meeting practice is clear. A foreshadowed motion can be moved by a councillor in respect of a matter that is before the council.
Okay.
Notes that points of order are taken that are partial, that are politically partial.
So, Councillor, this is completely inappropriate, and it is very disorderly, and it is not appropriate to be putting up on the screen. Councillor Hart, you're making accusations against me, Councillor, and there's a process. If you want to make accusations, there is a clear process to do that. Councillor Hart?
It's quite clear that the code of meeting practice is specific in respect of foreshadowed motion.
Councillor Hart? Councillor Hart? Thank you, Councillor Monahan. Councillor Hart has the call. He's called a point of order. I've ruled that what you're putting forward is out of order. Councillor Hart?
If Councillor Monahan wants to make accusations of the breach of the Code of Conduct, he can do so by submitting a Code of Conduct complaint.
I still maintain that it is clear
Thank you.
that 10.17 says that a councillor can move a foreshadowed motion. That was not applied.
Thank you, Councillor.
That's clear.
Do you have? I'll just for the sake of a clarity, and do you have a urgency motion that you would like to put forward that is lawful and does not make accusations about people, including myself as the chair?
The foreshadowed motion that I was putting and was in the middle of putting in the previous matter is that independent legal advice. Could you scroll the screen up just a touch, please, so I can see the previous item? Thank you. That council refer the motion, that council, and you can just copy that council 1, 2, A, B and 3. That Council 1 obtains independent legal advice confirming that the following is both lawful and appropriate and does not give rise to or contribute to any psychosocial hazard or risk under applicable work health and safety obligations. 2, notes that the following is action by council on matters related to witnesses before the inquiry and should only occur after obtaining advice referred to in point 1.
Are you done?
No. Three, notes notes that the motion of urgency was unaccompanied by independent legal advice confirming that such action is both lawful and appropriate. And whatever the point B was, I can't remember the wording exactly, does not give rise to or contribute to any psychosocial hazard or risk under applicable work health and safety obligations. And 4, notes that this item was moved in accordance with clause 17.10 of the Code of Meeting Practice as a foreshadowed motion that was rejected. That's all.
So it's point 5 and 6 part of...
Point 5 and 6 should be obtains independent legal advice. So point underneath point 1 as a thank you.
Okay, so are you now finished?
Beg your pardon?
Are you now finished?
Yes, I'm just waiting for it to be drafted up and for a seconder.
Yep, well, so before we move on to that, the first part, if I can go back to the top of the screen, please. Now, effectively what you're trying to do with the first part of the motion in point 1 with regards to legal advice confirmed the phone lawful and appropriate, effectively is you're trying to use a notice of motion to make a ruling, to rule a dissent motion on my ruling. So that's very clever, but it's not going to stand.
On what basis? It's a motion that seeks to obtain independent legal advice.
Yeah, hold on.
In respect of a matter
Councillor, I'll let you
council
speak.
is dealing with.
I'll
that
let you
relates
speak.
to witnesses at the public inquiry.
Councillor Monaghan, I'm going through this line by line. Okay.
And in respect of letting me speak, you didn't on the first motion. Let's be clear about that.
Yes. Okay. So here we are now, obtaining independent legal advice about lawfulness is under the Code of Meeting Practice a determination of the chair during the council meeting. You are now asking a motion to question my determination of lawfulness. Now, what will happen regardless after the council meeting, should there anything that has gone through, the CEO cannot implement a motion that is unlawful. So what you're effectively doing as an urgency motion is moving a dissent motion in my ruling. So that part doesn't apply. And
but the purpose of the original motion was to obtain legal advice, which would be duplicating your role in any event. Is that not the case? That would be the same case with this motion is proposing. We're seeking to
Councillor
obtain
Monaghan,
legal
can I ask you that you maintain
in respect
order?
Of a motion
Councillor Monaghan,
that earlier we'd be doing the same.
Councillor Monaghan, can I ask that once again, when addressing the chair, that you follow the Code of Meeting Practice and stop interrupting me on this matter? You're saying that this is we haven't even got to the question to ask you why this is urgent, but we'll get to that at this point in time. Ultimately, what you're saying is what did council just resolve is actually legal, right? Well, I haven't got that far yet. I'm just going through this point by methodically in the first instance. So by removing that first part. Right? No, I'm making my ruling on whether it's even lawful to put forward, right? Because if it's at the moment, it's a question of lawfulness before urgency. So I'm going through lawfulness at the moment. You cannot use an urgency motion to move a question of dissent in the ruling of the chair. So I said it's it's a one way of doing things, but it doesn't actually work. If you have an issue with regards to lawfulness, which I've ruled on already, you had an opportunity to put a dissent motion about that. So the psychosocial hazard, well, yeah, that can stay in there. No, with regards to that part. So the psychosocial part can stay.
About 20 minutes ago. Is it unlawful when I move it?
No, what you're trying to do is question what was just resolved by council, and you know exactly you're doing that, councillor, right? What? No, that's what it says here. You're questioning exactly what council just resolved. All right. So, and sorry, councillor, it's not upheld, councillor. Right. So anyway, why is this urgent? Why is this urgent?
I thought we were going through it line by line about
yeah.
lawfulness.
I'm concluded now. I want to get to the point about why is this urgent?
Okay, it's urgent given the fact that we've just debated the point. It was moved. It was intended to be moved as a foreshadowed motion in respect of in the middle of the urgency motion in compliance with 10.17 of the Code of Meeting Practice. Had that been complied with, then there would be no urgency motion. But given the fact that an urgency motion is apparently required, despite numerous questions about whether or not or which part of the Code of Meeting Practice required that, I say that it's urgent, given the fact that it was meant to be moved about 15 minutes ago in the middle of another item, and we can't possibly wait until the next council meeting for it to be debated. On that basis, it's urgent.
Okay, great. So you're moving this as effectively what you're saying, this is a dissent motion, therefore I declare it unlawful, and if it's even...
It's not a dissent motion, it
effectively
clear.
is, you just said
one,
that.
it's a foreshadowed motion.
Thank you, councillor.
It's being forced to be moved as an urgent.
Councillor, thank you. Thank you, councillor. There is no urgency motion before us, and now I'll declare the meeting closed at 8:20 p.m. Thank you.